Well folks, it looks like we're in for another wild ride as the Ontario election heats up. The latest polls are in, and the Progressive Conservatives, led by Doug Ford, are sitting pretty. They're currently polling at over 45%, a comfortable lead over the New Democrats and Liberals who are neck and neck in the low 20s. Now I know what you're thinking, Rick, it's just polls, anything can happen. And you're right, my friend, remember those early predictions about the Leafs winning the Cup? Yeah, let's not go there, but still, the PCs have consistently held a strong lead in the polls, suggesting a potential repeat of their 2022 majority win. It's like watching a rerun, eh? But hey, at least we know what to expect with Doug Ford. He's about as subtle as a moose in a china shop, but you gotta give him credit, the man knows how to stay on message. Of course, it's not all smooth sailing for the PCs. Inflation is hitting everyone hard, and housing prices are enough to make you want to live in a yurt. But will these issues be enough to sway voters away from Ford? Stay tuned, folks, it's gonna be a bumpy ride. Alright, let's dive into the nitty-gritty, shall we? The latest polls, hot off the presses from the Toronto Star, show the PCs with a commanding lead. They're sitting at 45.2%, leaving the NDP and Liberals trailing behind, both hovering around the 22% mark. Now, if we compare this to the 2022 election, the PCs have actually increased their support. Back then, they snagged 40.8% of the vote, securing a comfortable majority. So, what's changed? Well, for one, Doug Ford's approval ratings have gone through the roof. Remember when everyone was complaining about his handling of the pandemic? Well, it seems like those complaints have faded faster than a tan in February. A recent Ledger poll shows a whopping 59% of Ontarians approve of Ford's response to President Trump's remarks. And get this, almost 80% of PC voters approve of his performance. The man's on fire. But hold on, before you start planning the victory parade, let's not forget about the other half of the equation. While some folks are singing Ford's praises, others are wondering if this election is even necessary. Let's face it, folks, times are tough. Inflation is eating away at our wallets faster than a beaver in a lumberyard. Housing prices? Forget about it. You practically need to win the lottery to afford a one-bedroom condo these days. It's no surprise then that these are the top concerns for Ontarians heading into this election. A recent poll by Leger found that a whopping 20% of Ontarians are most worried about the rising cost of living. And who can blame them? It feels like the price of everything from a loaf of bread to a tank of gas has skyrocketed. Coming in at a close second is housing affordability, with 11% of Ontarians listing it as their top concern. It's a real issue, folks. Young people are struggling to enter the housing market, and even those who have owned homes for years are feeling the pinch as property taxes continue to climb. And then there's the whole U.S. situation. Relations with our neighbors to the south have been a bit frosty lately, and that's got some folks worried about trade and potential economic fallout. Now I know what you're thinking. Rick, you've talked about polls and politicians, but what about me, the average Joe, or Josephine? Well, my friend, this is where you come in. This election, like every election, is about you, the voter. It's about making your voice heard and choosing the future you want for Ontario. And the best part? You don't have to be a political expert or wear a fancy suit to participate. All you need is your right to vote. Speaking of which, did you know that your employer is legally obligated to give you time off to vote? That's right, folks, it's the law. No more excuses about being stuck at work. And if you're a generous soul thinking about volunteering as a poll official, your job is protected too. You deserve a round of applause. So there you have it, folks. The Ontario election is just around the corner, and it's shaping up to be a nail-biter. Remember, whether you're worried about the price of milk, the lack of affordable housing, or the latest antics of those politicians down south, make sure your voice is heard. Get out there and vote.